So gents, we've all had a chance to ride the new Key West by AIMA. We're trying to capture our first impressions, so I thought it would be a good idea to share our thoughts, what you felt like. I think we all rode the large Key West in my favorite pink color, which also comes in the blue. And we all have ridden Velotrek's Breeze, Pace 500.4 by Aventon, and Traxxas LT. I think these bikes all fall into that same category of lighter weight, cruiser style, modern cruiser style bikes. So tell me what your first thoughts are after riding the bikes. And I know only one of you have ridden it in cadence, but the rest of us have ridden it in torque sensor. So Dusty, what are you thinking?
All right, so my first thought is that the bike is surprisingly easy to ride without the motor, which is not always something that you get with bikes like these. We have a lot of customers that are interested in the experience of riding like a regular bike and then turning on the motor only when it's needed, and I think this easily checks that box for a lot of people with just how it rides in general. Once you kick the motor on, like your typical Bafang system, it's very smooth. The levels of pedal assist are smartly programmed, where each level gives you an appreciable, noticeable, step up in the amount of power, but still rides more like a bike. It's still, the power is well suited for the frame style, how you're riding in general. You don't always need the biggest motor to power a bike like this, because that just ends up being more like a moped versus a bike when you're looking for an upright cruiser kind of styling. As far as the power goes, both the throttle and pedal assist, very smartly tuned, very approachable. Hitting the throttle, it definitely gives a good amount of power, but it doesn't take off like a rabbit, so it's easy to manage even for people that aren't as familiar with e-bikes, which I like quite a bit. As far as the components go, they're pretty basic stuff. Got your standard Tektro hydraulic disc brakes and Shimano 8-speed that comes on almost every bike around this kind of price point, so all that works like you would expect it to. We've got the smart features with turn signals and brake lights are located in the back here. They're all easy to, all the switches and button pad has been updated on this version of AIMA stuff versus previous ones. So just the way the buttons and stuff work themselves and just how they feel, even if you have gloves on or something like that, are definitely going to be easier to kind of touch, and they're separated better. New display. This is a lot sharper. It's probably easier to see in different lighting situations, which I do appreciate. As you go up and down, it changes different colors. So even if you're not looking directly at it, you can kind of tell just from what color it is to what level of assistance you're in, which I do appreciate. As mentioned earlier, it does have the option to switch between torque and cadence sensor. I don't think there's an easy switch, so I think you do have to kind of decide on that part of the ride to go into the settings to change, which, not the end of the world, but if there was an easier switch, that would be nice. Frame felt pretty stiff, which is appreciable for a larger guy that's sitting on a bike like this on a step-through frame. There's definitely a lot of step-through frames that don't give you that kind of feedback. Even though it's a solid fork, it still feels pretty comfortable with the tire combination that it has.
How about if we let them?
Yeah, that's a big
Mark and Sam, what are your thoughts on the first ride?
So to start off, I'm very into the aesthetics of it. I like this, how slick this piece is right here, how it's just seamless with the frame. Overall, really smooth. I feel like this is a great bike for someone, especially in the first two modes, who want to experience a little bit of pedal assist, but get a good amount of exercise. Once you get into mode 3 to 5, it really starts to wake up the power. I also really appreciate that AIMA allows you to fully unlock this bike too, just like their old models where you can go from class 1, 2, 3, all the way up to unlimited mode. But overall, just very smooth experience, really happy with it. I'm excited to see what their rear rack looks like once we get those coming in November. Like Dusty said too, very stiff, rigid frame, but that's kind of what you want out of a bike with no suspension. But overall, really smooth. It just feels more refined. Feels like a Santa Monica that's more refined with no suspension and lightweight. So I think this will be a really big competitor, with the Pace 500, the LT, the Breeze. And I think people will really appreciate the smoothness of the ride, ease of use, easy to get on. I'm really impressed with it. I'm pretty happy with it.
Mark, what are your thoughts?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I can't find very much wrong with this bike. From the metal fenders to it's just smooth, easy to operate. All the controls have been redone to exactly, they're laid out perfectly. They're not the old Bafang, which was kind of chintzy. I think this is much better, especially with the soft feel. The display is clear, wrote it in cadence, and it's your computer-generated cadence sensor, completely smooth. Took you all the way up, minimal effort, even to where the only thing I have is I wish they could have moved the water bottle embossments up just a touch. But for the most part, I really don't see much wrong with this, anything too much to complain about this bike. It was fabulous.
Fantastic.
Like it quite a bit.
Thank you for sharing that. So my thoughts for this bike was, number one, as always, I started on level 1, using the gears and pedaling the bike. Did exactly like any other AIMA that I've ridden. I'm able to pedal this on level 1 all the way up to 22 miles an hour on level 1, which was joy. For somebody who wants to get a good exercise and wants to be able to utilize the power of this bike, the smooth torque sensor, AIMA by far has some of the smoothest torque sensors we've experienced. This bike is no exception. The Bafang components, the electronic components really shines on this bike. The second thing was, I was able to pedal this all the way to 27. I couldn't get it to 28, but that could be my lazy legs. However, it's very smooth. It's very profound. It does a great job of translating the pressure I'm applying to the pedals, the motor. It really feels very natural. I'm very impressed by it. The other thing that I thought about the ergonomics, I actually like the fact that the handlebar is a comfortable hybrid mountain bike cruiser handlebar, and it's not a swept back handlebar like some of the other offerings from Velotrek, Troxus, and in the case of Aventon with their BMX style. This really makes it more comfortable, a little bit a sportier ride than the swept back handlebar. It also accommodates a little bit more cockpit for taller riders to have a position like this. I think one of you mentioned it's a rigid frame, there are no suspension on it, and it really reflects. However, the ride is very sporty, which I like. When you want to put it on level 1 and just pedal it comfortably to 10, 12 miles an hour, it will respond beautifully. If you want to put more pressure and get it up to a higher speed, it will respond. One thing I would consider doing for myself is possibly putting a suspension seat post on this to make it a little bit softer. That's very easily doable. The biggest takeaway for me is the brakes on these are still the Tektro, but they've installed the 203 millimeter rotors that are 2 millimeter thick. We measured it, Chris Samanchik and I, we measured it yesterday. The brakes allow for very sure-footed pedaling, but also coming to a stop with no issues. I was very pleased to see that they didn't shortchange this bike because it's lower price point and reducing the rotor size. I believe the front crank on this is 48, it's not 52, but frankly, I was able to comfortably pedal it. The gearing felt very natural. I didn't miss the 52 at all. All in all, I'm very pleased. I love the design language that they've used, the streamlined battery, and if you can get close to this frame design, that little bit of a groove gives it a lot of character. And frankly, it kind of reminds me, with the name Key West, Florida, the ocean, it has that vibe to it. There's something about that that I like, that the frame detail that they provided. The display, just like you all said, very clear, easily seen, even with polarized sunglasses in the sun. I didn't have any issue with that. I know the rear rack is arriving. I understand we should be getting those in November. They're shipping them separately on this first shipment. I'm looking forward to see the utility of that rack. All in all, I'm very pleased with the bike. I think this is going to be a great challenger to Velotrek Breeze, Aventon Pace 500, and even Traxxas LT, one of our favorite cruiser lighter weight bike. I think weight, when we look this up, do you guys come up with the
57 without the rack. And
so
60 with the rack.
So 57 without the rack, 60. But considering these are metal fenders, that explains the weight difference versus some of the other bikes that don't have the fenders at all.
What's as important as anything is weight distribution, and being that this is a hub motor, you know, the weight distribution is still pretty decent, which is nice to see, and it's one of the reasons the handle is pretty decent.
Dust is correct on this, because when I was riding it, the bike doesn't feel heavy at all. It's very lightweight, it rides light. I've seen lighter weight bikes that feel heavy, and I've seen heavy bikes that don't feel as bad. The weight is very well balanced between where the battery is, where the electronics are, the frame design. And I actually like the fact that these guys put in, I believe it's a 12-point amp hour 48-volt system. It's slightly a smaller battery than some of the other ones I've seen, but the frame geometry, the frame design is compact. It is not a thick, big battery container. And frankly, I love the fact that the battery's on top. It would make it so much easier for the people that need to remove the battery. All in all, I'm very pleased with the way this bike rides, the way it handled, fit and finish, the quality of the bike. And I think this is a bike that every person that is considering a Velotrek Breeze or Pace 500 or Traxxas LT and number of other lighter weight bikes that are offered, that we don't sell, but they're offered through other stores or online, I think everyone should consider this as part of their test rides and compare to see what it does.
I agree. One of the worst things about it is the fact that we didn't get this for the start of spring and summertime, and we didn't get it until the end of the season.
I tell you what, every year we do get some of our nicest bikes come at the end of the season, and we get to enjoy them through the winter. However, with the weather the way it's been going this year, I think we can continue to sell these. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this gives you the idea of what you were looking for about a bike like this. If you happen to be in Denver, we would love to see you come into our eBikesusa showroom on I-25 in Alameda and take one of these for a test ride. And if you are not in Denver, please look up your local AIMA dealers and go test ride the bikes. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, the marketing team keeps telling me that I need to say these things. Please subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe to our Instagram page. Please do me a favor and do this so they don't keep telling me that I forgot to tell you all about this. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you soon on another video.